Good morning! It's Saturday. Not sure when you guys will see this. Happy Vlogmas! Bah humbug, y'all, bah humbug. So, today I'm out getting ready to do some deworming. But this deworming is different. So, let me explain what I'm going to do and why I'm making this switch. Because it took a lot of research and a lot of convincing to get me to make this switch, but I really think it's going to be beneficial for my herd. And if some of you haven't guessed it already, I'm going organic. I'm going herbal with my deworming. That's right, we're going organic. We're going to be using herbal dewormers. And I chose to use Land of Havila's Herbals LLC. So what made me want to go down the herbal route? Why am I not sticking with chemical dewormers? Well, I've done a lot of research, and in that research, I found oftentimes goats in the wild will seek out naturally occurring dewormers, whether it's in evergreens or specific type of tuber or a mineral. They seek that out, and honestly, if it's good enough for wild mountain goats, then it probably will be good enough for my dairy goats. And you guys have seen my milking videos, and if you haven't, there's a couple that'll be linked up across the top. We milk our goats for consumption. I'm going to start making lotions and soap with some of the milk that I saved from last year's milkings. And when you use chemical dewormers, you're usually waiting up from anywhere from a week to 2 weeks before you can actually consume the milk or even use it as a soap or a lotion. Because really, for soaps and lotions, you're going to be putting that chemical directly on your skin, and your skin's porous, so it soaks in the chemicals. So that's why we can't use it for the soaps or lotions, and there's no way I would want to ingest it. Herbal dewormers, in most cases, are safe to give to expecting does. And right now, with the way that I'm breeding my does and putting them in specific groups that are spaced apart, it would probably be really hard for me to tell who's okay to have the dewormer and who's not if they're spaced a couple months apart. So that's going to help me be able to deworm everybody safely without worrying about repercussions, because a lot of these chemical dewormers for expectant does in specific time periods can either damage the development of the fetus, or it can cause your doe to abort. And that's a lot of hard work in breeding for both the doe, the buck, and you, that you don't want that to happen. And let's just be honest, guys, it all comes down to the bottom dollar. So I made a spreadsheet of how often I deworm, how much dewormer I use on each one of my does based off of their body weights, and the supplements that I sometimes have to give to my goats when they're being dewormed. A lot of times we have to give those supplements to keep their rumens going, or to supply more iron so that when they have a parasite drop off, it doesn't make them go even more anemic. So I'm spending a lot of money in dewormers and supplements year round. And when I started adding up the numbers of what I'll be using with Land of Havila versus Panicure, Cydectin, any other ones that I would use, or any of the other supplements that are necessary to be given with deworming, I'm going to be saving money. And on a homestead or a farm, the bottom line is a big deal. And we all know with every pro, there has to be a con. So what are some of the cons with this? Well, with this specific dewormer, to start my treatments, I have to give this twice a day for 3 days straight, and then once every week, versus a chemical dewormer that I might give, if needed, based off of a Comanche score, every 2 months. Or if you've got goats that are just less parasite resistant, you might be giving more often than that. So it will require a little bit more of my time and being a little bit more creative with how I'm going to give this to the goat to make it less stressful for them. But I know they don't like that icky tube stuff. And with this herbal dewormer, it really sometimes is not cross-species friendly. So where you do have some chemical dewormers that can be used with your horses along with your goats or your cattle or your sheep or your hogs, with the herbs, it can get a little bit tricky. I can't give what I'm giving the goats to my donkeys. So there you have it. There's a lot of the benefits. There's some of the cons, but now I just have to do application. And application can be a little bit different. I really wanted to make my cookies because my goats loved them. If you guys didn't get to see my goat cookie video, it's going to be linked up at the top. But I made a slurry instead. Just because I made a slurry of, well, why don't I just show you? I'll just show you how I made the slurry. So let's go back to the kitchen for a second. And while I'm playing around with how I'm going to be giving this dewormer today, It can be given in a lot of different ways. It doesn't just come in a tube. You could do a slurry, you could do a drench, you could top dress their food, you could do it cookies, you can do tea brewing. I mean, there's a lot of ways that you can give this stuff to your goats. Good morning, girls. Hi, Dilly. How are you guys doing? Hi, are you guys ready for some breakfast? Poseidon, is anybody in heat today? No? Okay. Well, you girls all look just so ready for this treat I'm about to give you. Let's start with breakfast. Or as I like to call it, let's bait you in here so I can give you this nasty stuff. But who knows, they might like it. They might like it. They've surprised me in the past with things that they took openly and I didn't have to give to them by force. So let's hope this is one of those times, but I do not have high hopes. One lowly hay bale. I will drop more for you guys, okay? Whoops, daisy. Hopefully you guys don't see me falling or doing anything crazy, but with the goats, you never know. Ooh. Make sure you're strapped in for the ride. You guys seem to like the way it smells, that's good. So Rapunzel and Tiger Lily. Dilly, you are just spawn of Satan. Okay. I'm going to point out some application flaws because application flaw number one, when they're struggling in the dark part of the barn, you can't see how much you're giving them. So you're kind of guesstimating. Number two, if you choose to give them the slurry, make sure that the syringe or the application gun you're using is easy, because the big one that held like 60 milligrams was not easy at all. If you could maybe get enough small syringes that hold exact dosages and give to each one that way and keep track of who you're giving them to, especially if you have as many goats as I do, this may be better to just run them through on a milk stand and give it to them that way. You could do that. You could probably make sure that each one is getting the exact dose, because anybody that got any of the 6 milliliter small syringes I was using, I know got everything they should have gotten. So I will do slurry again for this evening, and then I will make cookies for tomorrow. I'll bring you back along with me for cookies tomorrow, but right now I've got this handsome fella to get some things done on him and his lady loves. But today is day 2 of our herbal deworming. I wanted to make cookies, but after a lot of thought, I decided that could become actually pretty dangerous for me. My goats love those cookies. But if you had a smaller amount of goats and not 18 to 20 that you're trying to give this herbal dewormer to, the cookies would work great. But for my specific purposes, I just went ahead and bought 18 6cc syringes. It was only like $7 to get 18 of them at my local Tractor Supply. So I went ahead and got this. This way, I can make sure that each goat is getting 6 cc's, because that's about the mixture I use with water, molasses, and the herbal dewormer. Because yesterday, using those bigger syringes, I couldn't really tell if they were getting the right dosage. So this is the way that I've decided to do this for my number of goats. If you're new to goats, or you're kind of like on the fence about this whole chemical versus herbal, I'm going to implore you to go ahead and just do your research there and make your own decision, because as I've always said, there's more than one way to do things. I'm not going to tell you this is the only way to do it, but I'm going to tell you that this is the best thing for me and my family. There is no withdrawal from an herbal dewormer. So what that means is for butcher or for milk or anything like that for consumption for humans, there's no withdrawal. So I can keep giving this dewormer and milking my goats, and I don't have to worry about ingesting chemicals. So this is just what's going to work best for us. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you let me know. What are you currently deworming with? What are some things you're thinking about deworming with? Drop those in the comments. And if you like what you see, go ahead, let us know. Leave us a like. But more importantly, if you like what we're doing here in our goat barn or just anywhere on our little farm, go ahead and subscribe. It helps us out a whole lot, and it makes sure that you're not going to miss out on anything going on here at Mulberry Branch Farm, because there's a lot going on. All right, guys, goats are calling. Catch you in the next one. Bye.